Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. In this episode, we're going to paint a moth or a butterfly using acrylic paints. And if you want to paint along with me, you can find the link to this sketch in the description below. And we're starting off with a orange underpainting. You want to use a size 6 filbert brush for this. And if you have a larger brush, that will work as well. You want to kind of match the brush to the size of the object that you're painting when you're doing the underpainting because you really don't want to add a lot of detail. You're just kind of blocking in the basic shapes. So a larger brush works great for this. It'll also save you time and speed up the process. And I will also link the colors in the description below. This is a beautiful, vibrant orange color, and it makes a really wonderful underpainting, and it can make your painting really glow. And after you place the underpainting in, you want to let that dry completely and then move on to the next step. So next we're going to take some burnt umber and I'm using that to outline the object and kind of establish the dark values and the shadows. When using the filbert brush, if you want to get some thinner lines, just turn your brush onto the side and you should be able to get some nice thin lines. I love using filbert brushes. They're really versatile and can give you a lot of different size brush strokes, and they're really dynamic brushes to use. And look at your reference photos so that you know where to put all of those shadows. And next I have this beige color, which is a pre-mixed craft paint. And go ahead and put that in the different areas that you can see kind of a beige color in the reference photo. And this paint is fairly transparent. It's gonna allow that orange underpainting to show through. So this is a paint where you might want to add more than one layer. So then you can mix up the beige with the burnt umber to create a lighter brown color and then put that along the center of the body of the moth. And that's going to give it some dimension and allow it to come forward in space. I'm then taking a beige color and place that along the outside of the circles. Then we're going to switch to this cobalt blue and just kind of feather that in on top of the orange, starting from the center and then moving outwards. And this is a really beautiful shade of blue. You should add this to your palette. It's one that I don't use often. I usually use an ultramarine blue, but the cobalt blue is also very beautiful. And I'm loving how it's contrasting with the orange. You have orange and blue as complementary colors. So when they're placed together, they really vibrate and make each other stand out. Now I'm mixing some of the burnt umber with the cobalt blue to make a darker shade of that blue, and then I'm putting that around the edges. This is something that I like to do to add dimension to an object and just make it look like it has more depth. And then let's make a lighter version of that color. So take some of the cobalt blue and add some beige to it. And then with that lighter color, you can place that into the circles along the edges of the butterfly. Then let's take some beige paint and with that size 0 round brush, add a little bit more detail to the moth. You can put some lines across the body and just put more detail. Now I'm taking the burnt umber and I'm putting it as a second layer along the body, and that's just going to give a little bit darker value there and allow me to have more contrast, which is going to build more form. Then we can take this pink color and add that to the circles along the bottom of the moth. And some of the blue and the pink are kind of blending together wet on the page. Now I'm going to take this grayish blue and continue to add another layer to the wings, going around some of these circles, making sure some of that orange paint is still showing through underneath. And this color is presenting as fairly transparent. So it is giving me a nice kind of glowing effect. So now we're going to switch to the acrylic marker. And this is something that I use when I'm painting really fine lines. I think it's really great to kind of save time and it'll allow you to get really fine lines really quickly and a lot easier than you could when using a paintbrush. So I just kind of take my time and I outline the wings here. And then I can make those really fine marks that the butterfly has. I'm going along the bottom and kind of making those curved shapes. And then I'm trying the larger side of the marker. These acrylic markers have a larger end and a smaller end. So I'm putting that around the outside so that I have a variety of marks, some that are thin and some that are thick. And then I'm taking the smaller side and I'm going around the circles along the edge of the moth. And again, this is so much easier to do with the marker than it would be with a paintbrush. And then those other marks I am outlining along the top. And then I want to fill in the circles with some of the black marker just to make it a little bit thicker in certain areas and fill it in a little bit. Then I'm putting those lines along the wings that just give a really nice realistic detail to the moth. And this is something that you could take your time with and really try to make them precise or do as I did and just kind of put them in there where I felt like adding them. And then I added a little bit of white to the palette because I wanted to make some highlights. So highlights with the zero brush is a great final step. And white is usually the best color to use to add highlights. You sometimes want to add a different color to the white so that it doesn't show up too bright. But in this case, I was okay with some extreme highlights. So I took some of that grayish blue or the cobalt blue and I mixed it with the white. And then I'm kind of putting that in as highlights. And you can see how this really makes the wings kind of pop and come alive. So I'm just kind of putting those in where I want it to stand out. Now we're going to add a really fun detail. This is some Galaxy glitter acrylic paint that I found at the store, and I'm just putting that on top of the wings. It has a beautiful different rainbow glitter inside it, and when you put it to the light, you can see how it really turns out beautiful and it sparkles and just makes it a really fun project. I hope you get to give this a try. Please like and subscribe for more tutorials, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!